Hey folks, guess who's back? Welcome back to Money in Politics. And can you believe it is June already? June! My God. I mean, I started this channel on January the 25th, and here it is, the first day of June. And it's gone by. It seems like about maybe 2 months, not five, 5.5. But anyway, I'm glad to be back with you. It's been a while since I had the opportunity to come and do a video. As many of you may know, I cover politics, and I cover both the Congress, which I can do now without being in Washington. I used to be in Washington. But now with the internet, I can cover Congress, but I also cover the Illinois legislature. And the budget for the state of Illinois must be passed by the end of May. If they don't, there are consequences, which I won't go into. But let's just say that it's very important to the people in the majority party to get the budget passed by the end of May. And as is the want around Illinois politics, they had a $42 billion operating budget, and they brought it to the legislature at about a half an hour before they're supposed to close out of session. It is what it is, folks. You wonder why government is screwed up and messy. So $42 billion, but the point is, I was covering the legislative debate until close to 12:30 a.m. And I'm not saying feel sorry for me. My point is, a lot of you might have thought, hey, what have you been doing? We just had this big, long weekend. And for me, it's one of the busiest weekends of the year, because that's when the legislature, it's just like all the kids in high school handing in their term paper, and they do it the night before it's due. It's kind of like that. So all of these issues one would cover as a journalist, since about February, the vast majority of them get passed through the legislature to go to the governor for his signature. They don't get passed until the last weekend of May. So that said, this ties into my video here on investing. It means that over the summer, my time is far more flexible because I'm not tied to covering the legislature. So that's number one. And a number of you have written and said, what do you think about this investment or that investment? And you've emailed me, and let me bring that up. And I think in there are some good ideas and some others that I have no idea about, but I want to take a look at. And so I will get to that, but I just haven't had the chance. So I'm just basically taking about 3 minutes here to explain why, my schedule, so you kind of know where I'm coming from. And now I hope to open up the examination of what we look at, and to be able to have more time to do some work on that. Now, real quick, this is kind of like a drum roll. I'll save the best till last. Just to give you an update, I did, of course, say to buy DIG over the last number of months, and it went up 7.5% today. And so we're doing good there. And of course, it just did a 2-for-1 split not too long ago. I started following this in November at about 63. I was telling people to buy. And so at 71, on the verge of 72, that's the equivalent of like $142, $143, because again, it just did a 2-for-1 split not that long ago. Now, the thing that we all want to know is, boom, Humbl. And Humbl, we have had, again, another update. I believe I'm right. As you can imagine, I got a little bit sidetracked by covering politics. But that this is the 7th day. And look at this chart, folks. This is a 1-month chart. And if we look at 6 months, we can see why we were going back to the top in February. We were just going down and down and down, and it was kind of an ugly, not kind of, it was an ugly spring. But since May 20, when we got down to about 76 cents, I think was actually the low, I bought some on the way down. I didn't personally get in at 76. I don't even remember, frankly, because I bought Humbl, I don't know, probably at about 25 or 30 different price points now. It's hard to keep them straight. But I know I didn't get it at the very end. But look at this chart. Since we have had, since May 20. So the last 7 days we have been up. And of course now we went from 76 cents in roughly 2 weeks to $1.64. And just imagine if you'd bought 10,000 shares for $7,600, if only we knew, right? $7,600, that those 10,000 shares 2 weeks later would be worth $16,400. Nice vacation, a decent used car, any number of things you could do with that. And let us look also, which we haven't looked at recently, let's take a look at Forwardly. And Forwardly also, this is a one-day chart, but let's go to the 1 month chart. And as we saw, now, so Forwardly got down to about 13 cents, and I did buy Forwardly at 13 cents. I think I bought it back here around the middle of May because it did go up, and I haven't sold any Forwardly. Frankly, I don't remember when. I don't remember if I ever sold Forwardly, but I have also accumulated it. So we see, conversely, on May 20, again, it was about the 13 cents and now 28 cents. So that is up in the same period of time over 100%, doing even a little bit better than Humbl. Humbl is up. I didn't run the numbers. Last time I checked, I mean, it doesn't matter what, but Humbl is up close to, well, let me do my math. It's 76 cents, so double that. 75 would be $1.50. Actually, I take it back. That's also up over 100%. Not bad, huh? Not bad. So now, folks, the thing is, can we keep it going? And the answer is, we're going to have some sell-offs now and then. Nothing goes up 100% of the time. So, you know, it's just something to be aware of. But I think we're not going to have this panic like we had in the spring. And again, I would say that that was driven by if we go back, let me bring back Humbl. That was driven by the early peaks. So when we had people getting in and they thought this thing was just going to go to the moon, and obviously, you know, as I've used the analogy before of an F-16 will stall out at a certain point if you're going vertical, and so will a stock. And that's what happened to Humbl. So as people bought on the way down, and as they bought when it got down to, you know, $3.50, as they bought when it got down to $1.50, as they bought when it went down to below $1, what we're doing in a technical way is we're building a new base of support. And that's why I think, because we have so much money now in this area, that we have that base of support. And I don't think that's going to be going down to the extent that it has in the past when we hit that 76. And the other thing is, the first number of months, and I've said this before, I've said everything before, but the first number of months with Humbl, the corporation, had to lay the foundation for adding staff, for getting things done, for getting the ETXs okayed to be traded in the United States, to get the NFTs going. And now, you know, we have all of that, right? So it's just like when you work in your garden and you go out and you say, well, you know, I've already done that, and now you don't have to do it again. And that's where Brian Foote and the team is with Humbl. So I think we're going to have good things coming in the future. And I've always said the whole spring as we were going down, I didn't say get out and run for the hills. I said, folks, this is, the stock price is going down for emotional reasons, but we got a company that's brand new. And the company is also laying the foundation for growth. And that's what they've been doing. That's what they continue to do. So, I'm not here panicking as when it's gone down. I've been buying, not selling. That said, I meant to find, and excuse me right here, you may even know this, but the other thing is Brian Foote is going to be on Charles Payne's show, and I hear as I was looking at it. So he's going to be, Brian Foote's going to be on Charles Payne's show on Fox Business on Friday, June the 4th, between 2 and 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So in Central Time Zone, it's obviously between 1 and 2 p.m. So the market will still be open. And I'm glad. I like Charles Payne. I think Charles Payne is in my estimation, one of the really solid broadcasters in the field of investing. He's not a hype guy. He's everything that I know about him. I mean, I like him as a broadcaster. We're both in broadcasting. I like him and the way he approaches ideas. I think he has a lot of down-earth common sense. And so we know that, or a lot of us know that when Brian was interviewed on CNBC, it didn't come out quite as well as we might have hoped. And I think Brian learned some lessons. And I think he's going to have a different conversation with Charles Payne. I just do. And so now, too, what I would say if I were giving advice to Brian, and he hasn't asked me, so you know what that's worth for free advice. But first of all, I would try to say, look at how many oars we have in the water, so to speak. And you're working on the peer-to-peer, you expect that out. You have the NFTs out. You just did the first one I brought up moments ago with Clint Eastwood, went for close to $10,000, as I recall the bid. So you got the peer-to-peer coming up. You got the NFTs. You got the ETXs. You got Tickery bought. They just did the other merger with Monster. And so there's a very solid argument to say we are a company with momentum. And that's not hyperbole. That is demonstrable. So that's number one. And if someone asks you again, well, what about your revenues? You would say, they're going to come. But right now, I'm like the farmer that's just been planting his field, and you're asking me to show you ears of corn. I mean, it's going to take a while before we have the harvest, but we just laid the foundation, and we're just growing, and we're just 6 months old. So you Humbl are in the very early stages now of having laid the foundation, which you continue to do, but having laid the foundation in those lines of commerce that we talked about already, that you're seeing some commerce come in. He could mention the $1 million in revenue from Tickery. He can mention the fact that we also are coming out of a COVID year. And by the way, I just went to the grocery store this afternoon. Hallelujah. They actually had a sign on the wall, and to the hardware store too. You no longer have to wear a mask. And folks, I'm in Illinois. It was like shut down central. So one more example of where the world is reopening, and that's also going to be good for all business, but it's going to be good for Humbl as well when you think of any number of these things that they're doing, including the line of Tickery. And concerts and all that will be coming out and around the world, right? So I don't have a lot more right now, as you can tell. I mean, like I said, I was locked up, and now I won't be because the legislature's gone, and it's like the level of activity, just falls off a cliff when the legislature is gone, and I can set my own agenda. I'll look forward to talking to you As a real quick reminder, there's my email. I look forward to talking to you about the stock ideas you have. Also, follow me on Twitter if you would. So I don't have one of those great questions. Sometimes I do. You don't have to do it now, but I wanted to follow up, which was one of the fun questions earlier on. Maybe I'll do this tomorrow. But I want to ask about where are people watching from? Because last time, I think we had close to 20 countries around the world, folks, and isn't that interesting? So I'd like to follow up with that, but why don't you just hold off a day? And I'm still playing catch-up ball. But I did want to get back to you because I think, as I said earlier, I think this was the longest, since May 25, the longest period that I hadn't had the opportunity to put out a video. So, with that said, hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day weekend with your family and friends. Hope you're gainfully employed, and if not, I hope you will be soon. I'm happy to hear that Brian has come out and said he's going to be interviewed by Charles Payne. I think that's not the whole battle, but that's part of the battle, getting the word of Humbl out. We've talked on this channel before about so many people still know nothing about Humbl. Very intelligent, well-educated people. But a lot of them just still haven't heard about Humbl. So this is a step for Brian in the right direction to do that. Anyway, folks, I always look forward to talking with you, and I'll look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. In the meantime, I'll say goodbye. Have a wonderful night, and God willing, we'll see you tomorrow and every other day this week. Until then, I'll say goodnight.